And we are live back here at Can You Survive? Tides of War. We are approaching the Tribal Council area yet again, this time for a double vote out. 2 players will be eliminated at this Tribal Council. We will explain again how that works, I think, a little bit later. Meanwhile, all 10 players filing down here. A reminder, if you didn't catch the last challenge, that 2 of these 10 players have individual immunity and cannot be voted for. Players will be voting in 2 different groups, 4 different people. So this should be an interesting tribal scenario. And entering the Tribal Council area, we have Dylan,
group, please.
Drew, Meg M, Louie, Cam, Ale, Molly, Kevin R, Alicia, and Ty.
I'll now bring in the jury. We have Katie, Dan, and Zoe voted out at our last tribal council. Just pulling up my notes. All right. Let's talk about this interesting setup here, right? We have you split into 2 different groups, strategizing together here at Tribal together, but voting separately. Kevin, how much of your time strategizing was spent talking to people of the other group? I mean, was it a real collaborative experience, or did you end up kind of siphoning off into your own special groups?
I think for me personally, it was pretty like 95%, 5%, and the 5% was just like, y'all good over there kind of vibes. But I don't know, there might have been more cross-tribe, cross-group collaboration that was happening behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of.
Interesting. So Dylan, is what the other 5 doing affecting your kind of group's decision making at all, or that didn't really factor into what you were doing here?
It's complicated. I think we're losing 2, and I think we all are aware that we're losing 2, and so suddenly who talks to who and all of that stuff became more important than it has been. I think I said this to everybody, but like it feels my feeling right now is that we went from like a 10 to a final 5, and like suddenly I was like emotionally, I was like crying. I left my confessional and I was like, please stop, because it is just suddenly I feel like we were making a pace, and then it got so much faster that it just got a lot harder and simultaneously a lot more emotional.
Yeah, a lot of nodding, folks. I mean, Cam, is that your experience with this round as well?
How dare you? Yes, I did cry. It's not the first time I've cried during this game. Yeah, I'm in a bad spot. It seems like I'm 1 of 2 people going, and it's whatever.
1 of 2 options on this side, or 1 of the 2 people going?
Yes. Yes to both, I believe.
Okay. I mean, what is your pitch kind of to the group to try to get around for another round here?
It's the pitch of like, if you keep me, I will work with you. Someone who I was working very closely with just went home, so yeah. I don't have many more coherent things to say.
Yeah, I mean, Ty, is that news to you? Does learning that kind of affect the plan going in on this side at all?
Learning what?
Effectively learning that Cam feels like they're really on the outs on the other side.
So I didn't really have any conversations with that group this time. Unfortunately, I was very focused on my group of 5 here. So honestly, for me, it doesn't really impact this vote. I think that other people probably feel differently, and it's going to be, obviously the aspect that things can be played across groups, or that that opens up, well, the more that we can strategize with each other, it opens things up more, which makes me nervous, of course, as it should anyone. But no, I was definitely more focused on this group and figuring out what I was going to do for my vote. Then I'll see what happens over there, and we can go from there.
Okay, yeah, Alicia?
Yeah, if I can add, like, there was a moment where I was the odd one out, and there were two people talking, and I just saw Cam crying, and me and Cam wrote my name down last tribal, but it was such a human moment where I, like, wanted to go to him and just give him a hug, and, like, I've been voted out. Like, I know how that feels, and it is very emotional because you care about these people, even the ones that vote you out. Like, we care about everyone, and at this point, it's not a matter of who's a good person or not. Like, we all care about each other, and so it sucks, like, period.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Drew, being immune on that side, did you feel like maybe you're more open to listening to other options and potentially making a bigger swing?
No, I think I was in a unique situation. There were, like you said, a lot of human moments happening around me, so I kind of just stepped away and let people process everything. I'm immune, so I don't have to worry as much, but for everybody else here, this is a very hard decision with a lot of weight behind it and a lot of like personal risk as well. So I was trying to just respect that. And at some points, I felt like I was just off on my own with nobody to talk to. And, I still tried to talk to everybody. It was awkward though, because this is a bad situation that we're in. So I think that we're all very aware of that. And, you know, my role with the immunity was to maybe just take a step back and respect what was going on around me.
Interesting. I mean, Megan, another way this group could be looked at is there are 3 veterans and 2 original rookies here. I mean, was that discussed at all as a potential path forward for this group?
Not really. No, it became pretty clear after the vote last tribal that people were doing things other than what at least I thought they were doing. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that yeah, it's a bad moment for me.
Okay, I mean, do you feel like you're as on edge as Cam heading into this vote?
More so.
More so. Interesting. Louis, I mean, this is a big vote here with 2 people going home. I mean, it's going to shift the entire dynamic to jump from 10 to 8. All of a sudden, the numbers you're counting, who matches up with whom, changes completely. So, how did you kind of approach this vote knowing how important it was that your people made it to the next round?
Well, that's the $1,000,000 question, because you're also factoring, like, who are my people. If we're going to be at 8, we're going from 10 to 8. So 2 of my people could go right now, and then I have to have new people. So it's finding the balance of keeping my people, and then also keeping my people.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot of words. I don't know if you said anything. I'm going to jump to this side, though, for a second here. Ale, I felt like you were kind of involved in the big moment in tribal council, kind of both between you and Alicia admitted, there was some clear deception at play, or, a fake conversation leading to the idol shenanigans. How did that kind of interact, your interactions with Alicia now that she's immune in this small group and you're one of the 4 people that could potentially go home?
So this round, it's one of us. We've talked about it. They're the ones that get to decide that. Alicia and I had a really good conversation afterwards about where we stand in our games, how much we respect each other, how much we care for each other as people. I expect Alicia's vote tonight. Yeah, it's. I know it's not a lack of respect. Like, I think when Sully left, I kind of had like a little bit of a bratty moment. I'm not someone who likes emotions a lot. I have a really hard time dealing with my emotions outwardly. So everyone was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, I just kind of like, I'm good, right? Like I need to separate myself for a second. And I think that potentially could have also rubbed people the wrong way. And afterwards, like as I was entering the bathroom, I explained to everyone like, Zoe is someone who meant a lot to me. She reminds me a lot of my students. She's the same age. I wanted to protect her, and she went home for it. I put out Alicia's name. I was the person who brought that up. Um, and seeing her go down for something that I did was just really difficult for me, and I felt really guilty. So I needed to like to deal with that guilt by myself because I don't know how to process emotions outwardly. And I think that that looked bratty. Like I'm aware that that didn't look great for me to just be like I don't need something right now. I'm gonna separate myself for a second. Um, but emotions are hard for me, right? And I know that right now it's between the both of us. We've hugged, we love each other. Um, it is what it is. I think we both did as much as we could. We talked to everyone. We talked as much as we could. Shit, what else can you do, right? Like I did my best. I know Molly did her best, and it's not out of love or respect. I think we were having course just the five of us being like all 10 of us, including the jury, like everyone just loves each other, right? Like we're at this point where we like really respect each other as humans, and like as like we're such a strong cast from everyone who has been here, right? And we all came here to play, and we have all this special with our charities and like our stories and who we're representing and stuff like that. And I think it's yeah, it's hard. Like I think this round specifically just hit us really hard because we had to be separated. We had to be like, this is it, right? Like, and I think it just hit everyone that fuck, this is like it's a game. We know it's fun, but also like fuck emotions, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
a big shift. I mean, so
Yeah.
Molly, Ale implies that you're potentially one of the two people out of this group that's on the block. Can you talk a little bit about how it came down to the two of you and maybe what your pitch is to the three in front here?
Yeah, I mean, I still think we all could be at play.
Okay.
You know, this is a game and everybody's going for it. But to be fair, like once we get down to 8, there's a potential for a split vote. I think with losing LA, like if that is what happens, I become a free agent and I get to help maybe shift that vote 4-4. And if we don't want to draw rocks, I'm happy to work with people. I'm happy to be a number. Um, I don't think I'm much of a threat in terms of challenges or things like that. So
Me neither. Just for the record, yeah, too possible. So
Okay. I mean, Alicia, this is something you've talked about before, being, one of these extra votes. Can you talk about, especially as the numbers get down, how valuable that is to have, someone who's willing to be that extra number that can change the vote completely for you?
Yeah, I mean it's crucial to have numbers and to have confidence where your numbers are. And what's hard is we're establishing relationships as we go by way of vote and how we've been voting. Um, but you also kind of want to be able to, read who you're with and have a good relationship with them outside of just votes. But it's super important to be a number, and you want to align with people who have a similar plan as you, so it works out and there won't be a lot of conflict. But there's 10 plans right now. So
Yeah. Talk to me about how it was for you after the last tribal. Obviously, pretty big, flashy move. I have no idea if that changed the plan going into tribal, but is that something you had to answer for to the rest of the group heading into this round?
honestly, they were all pretty stoked about it and like congratulated me and were like, that was so awesome, like blah blah. And I know my target was this big and now it's this big, and then I want immunity, so it's this big. And so I'm also just like that number and team player for people. And what was your question?
Just kind of how that post tribal
Yeah,
went
yeah,
as
yeah,
you were
yeah,
talking to them.
What was fascinating was we can't figure out where a couple votes went, and so I know there's also a lot of mistrust still with me and like some people who claim they didn't vote me and who was the stray vote to tie and da 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 da. But I understand it's a game. Keep your cards close, and they'll fall as they may.
Yeah, Ty. I mean, that's two straight tribal councils that you've received stray vote or votes. I mean, especially now that we're in a small tribe, if you can't track down who that person or persons were,
Yeah.
you could easily find yourself going home with a couple straight votes here. So how is that, in terms of your paranoia heading into this small group?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it adds a little bit of nervousness just to see your name out there. But I'm coming from a perspective, I'm just going to assume that was Zoe, and that's going to be my peace of mind, and I'm not going to try and spiral and figure out something else, because I think that makes the most sense.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, obviously I'm not completely forgetting that happened, but there's no point in harping on it and trying to figure that out right now, I don't think, especially with potentially whoever it was not even being over here or over there. I just don't know, and I'm not going to stress too much about it right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. One final thing I want to jump off of what Alicia said. Dylan, I mean, those first few votes, mostly unanimous. These last couple have been a little bit different, and there is maybe some mistrust of we can't figure out who voted where, who is actually with me versus saying they're with me. And now you've been thrust in this scenario where you're with such a small group. You need to really trust two people in this group. So how do you find that trust going into this vote?
For me, I think it's such an interesting question. For me, I think it comes down to who has proven their trust to me. And I think it comes down to who I've in the past proven my trust to. Because that is all that I have to go off of in this moment.
Okay. Before we get to either vote, I do want to throw it to the floor. I know these are small groups. In case there are any kind of last minute pleas from either side. Seems like everything that needs to be said has been said. So we're going to have the entire orange group vote first. Then we'll immediately have this side vote. I will read the votes one after the other, okay? All right, we'll get to the vote. Cam, we'll start with you.
All right, and we're just going to head off to our usual spot now while the players silently vote. Someone earlier was asking how these groups got determined. So during the individual immunity challenge, they did a random draw for spots. And so those were the groups that ended up competing against each other for an individual immunity necklace, which is why, even though Drew wasn't wearing one, she is immune, and Alicia, who was wearing one, is also immune for the other group. So that is how they were chosen. And so now, despite all sitting together, one group of 5 can only vote for someone else in their group of 5, and ditto with the other side. So that is how that came about. Sometimes survivors, a little bit of luck mixed in with some talent and skill, and this is kind of one of those things where it was quite literally luck of the draw on where they ended up. So, all right, we are reaching our little shade shrub. So let me open up my notebook. We'll talk about these one group at a time, so it's a little less all over the place. And as always, ask questions if you want to, and at the very end of this discussion, I have a little something exciting to share about what might be hidden at Tribal Council right now. So, first up, the group on the right-hand side, we heard a lot from them just now to kind of finish out that Tribal Council session. I will remind you that is the group of Alicia, who is immune, along with Ale, Ty, Kevinar, and Molly. So, there's God, okay. Where do I start? So we heard from Ale. He's convinced that it's either him or Molly. Ale, I'm told, kind of had like this Eeyore moment in his confessional where he just was like, I know I'm going home. I'm upset. He's convinced it's me. And that is partially bolstered by the fact that, as Alicia and Ale said, Ale threw Alicia's name out there, voted for her. They admitted last tribal to having a super fake conversation with each other. And, so that's kind of like a very obvious out in the open. Two people that at this point in the game, not working together. On the other side of that is Alicia. So she wants to make a move this round. She has the immunity idol around her neck, so that is the arguably safest time to do so if you have the numbers. So she is between Ale and Molly. She is considering voting Ale, of course, because of that kind of beef they have out in the open, but she does feel like they're pretty similar players in their play style, where they both can get super emotional and kind of wear their hearts on their sleeve, so to speak. So she does feel like she can read him, despite, knowing that he is aiming the target in her direction. Whereas with Molly, she feels, maybe a little closer to her because she is trying to still sidle in on the rookie side of life. But she doesn't feel like she can read Molly. So it's kind of like the devil you know versus the devil you don't situation for Alicia over on this side of the groupings. Okay, and let's see. Okay, sorry. All right, on the other side of things, so Molly, the other potential target over here, actually is trying to work with Kevin R., a fellow rookie, as well as Alicia. But of course, Molly and Alicia have not really worked together before now. So Molly is not quite sure, if she can count on her vote or not. They haven't been tested in a tribal council scenario together before this. So this is kind of like one of those, the ultimate test situations. Another tidbit about Molly, everyone's speculating who was that stray tie vote. Well, I'm here to report it to you first. It was, in fact, Molly that threw that vote on tie. And I'm told that it was because originally in the last tribal council where Alicia stood up and announced that she had a real idol, but in fact was a dead idol that was out of the game, that the vote originally was to vote for tie. And once that happened, I guess scrambling went around and somehow the target officially changed to Zoe with some maybe backup votes on Alicia. And so she ended up just like continuing on with the original plan. So I'm not sure if that was because no one whispered to her enough or like what exactly that situation was. She did, however, tell her arguably closest ally on this side of the fence, Kevin R., that she voted for Zoe. So she is claiming like she was in the group, but obviously it's causing confusion because the math ain't mathin'. So I don't think anyone knows that she was the tie vote, but there we go. I'm now realizing I have a whole other one to get through. So speaking of Kevin R., Alicia wanting to work with him.
I just have breaking news.
Oh. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Sorry. That's crazy. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Everything I just said might be completely moot. Breaking news. So the thing I teased earlier was that there is an idol hidden at Tribal Council. It was above the Can You Survive sign. You could see the twine. And I say was because moments ago, Ale found it and went ahead and read it aloud to the entire group. Which I guess was allowed even though they're not normally supposed to talk during voting. But, bombshell has just gone off. Interested to see if Ale goes ahead and plays it on himself or decides to, now that he's made the announcement, he saw Alicia do it successfully and not get enough votes to go home. Perhaps he's going to announce that he's going to play it, risk not playing it, and maybe keep it for a future round if he does not receive the most votes. So that's going to be really fun and spicy to see what happens there. I love Survivor, y'all. It's live. It's crazy. Anything can happen. Wow. Let me quickly wrap this up on this side. Okay, cool. So Ale, speaking of Ale, he has Kevin R. in this gay Latino alliance still. Kevin wants to kind of stick with it for now, potentially, but does not know that that's going to be an actual Final Four. And he's apparently kind of playing up this dumb jock role around, his fellow players, which is kind of funny to me. And He, again, reminder, has an extra vote. He wants to use it at the final 8. So we could potentially see that being dropped at the next tribal council should Kevin R remain in this game, if that didn't just throw everything. Ty, last person to discuss on this side, is apparently a super perceptive player, but doesn't seem to know just how much he knows. Just one quick example of that. He knows that Meg looked at him weird, that tribal where Meg and Zoe sent votes his way. So he was like, did Meg do that? And she did, but he's questioning if he's, if that's true or not. One more thing of note before we flip on over. If you'll remember, Kevin R said rounds ago that Molly was an under-the-radar threat, but didn't want to throw the first stone too quickly. So maybe let's see if he's now biding his time and feels that this is the right time to make a move. And especially with that idol Allah just got, everything might be shifting on over to Molly if it wasn't there already. Moving on over to the side that apparently doesn't have a surprise new idol to contend with, which is Drew, who is immune, Dylan, Cam, Meg, and Louie. Dylan is a super central point of this group. He kind of is aligned with everyone here, which is, amazing until you're forced to make a choice. So he's pretty much going to have to pick a side here. And I know he talked about crying earlier in his confessional and that it kind of became emotional. So he's really having to now contend with, okay, do I maybe vote for Louie, who was a potential target when I heard about this, and then I didn't hear his name brought up at all. So they're either hiding a blindside really well or the plan has actually changed. But he is between voting for Louie, sorry for the wind, but having to break off the Gay Latino alliance with that, or continuing on with the 4 that he kind of has going of Meg along with on this side of things, along with Ala and Molly on the other side. So a lot for him to contend with. Let's see. And all right. Sorry, trying to figure out where to go with this. A lot of weird dash lines. Okay. So, wow, I'm all over the place. Panicking. Okay. So speaking of Dylan being emotionally making this choice, Cam was wanting to convince Dylan to go ahead and make a move and vote Louie, again, this Gay Latino Alliance member, but Cam doesn't realize that exists. So Cam is pretty confused as to why Dylan has seemed super upset about the potential Louie vote, because he doesn't realize that they really have a connection at all. So he's like, what's going on? He also is getting really suspicious. You saw he was one of the people that thinks he's a target. I don't know that he actually is unless something crazily shifted, but he thinks right now, I think I told y'all that the swapped orange and swapped blue tribes were going to try and team up to get a green out. Of course, those greens are Drew and Louie, with Drew being immune. But then Kevin R made a Freudian slip earlier, said that he was down to take out the blues to Cam, who is a blue. We think he actually meant the greens because that didn't happen. But he thinks, basically Cam thinks that the orange tribe kind of double dipped and made an agreement with the green side so that they wouldn't get targeted and that both other sides would play against each other. Let's see. Louie is targeting Meg because he knows Meg lied to him. Drew is potentially targeting Meg and working on a relationship with Cam that's now deepening. So here we are. Drew is getting even more alliances with even more people. So yeah, and that is the tea on that. So let's go back into the tribal council area and see who the next 2 people that will be eliminated from the game and join the jury are. What a sesh, y'all. What a sesh. Oh, I guess I could flip this around so you can see the players now. I was in the zone. Okay. Just...
only ask this once because it'll apply for both votes, okay? If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and would like to play it, now would be the time to do so.
So last time that I thought you guys were gonna say what you're gonna say. Last time I played, I went home with an idol with a cast Excalibur. I can't do that twice. Just found this, so I'm gonna play it on myself, obviously. Sorry.
I picked this up just now. It is a hidden immunity idol. Any votes cast for Ale will not count. I'll get to the vote, starting with this one. First vote, Meg. Second vote, Louis. Third vote, Louis. Fourth vote, and the next member of our jury, Louis. That's 3, that's enough.
That's too good.
Louis, the tribe is spoken.
She wasn't there.
Okay, the fun doesn't stop there. I'll get to the vote. First vote, Ale. Doesn't count. Second vote, Molly. Third vote, Molly. Fourth vote, and the next person voted out, the next member of our jury, Molly. That's enough. Molly, the tribe is spoken.
All right, and we will head out of the tribal council area now. 2 players to catch up with on the live stream. We're just going to head off into the shade. Barry, let's maybe take it over there this time under the birch tree. All right, we're still live. Louis, in a few moments, this will be your time to share any thoughts that you're having with the viewers. So we'll just get you in this shade over here. All right. And we'll just wait for the players to be maybe a little farther away so that the floor will be completely yours and you can speak freely. Okay. All right, Louis, take it away. This is your time.
Well, I'm not going to say I was 100% blindsided by the vote that just happened. I had a feeling that if there was going to be a big move to make, it was probably going to take me out because I was kind of sitting in the middle of that group. And the theatrics were very high. So that was kind of interesting because I was like, why is everybody crying so much about voting? It just seemed all too much for me. So I had an inkling that they might have been working together. And I think that might be because of me being aligned with Alicia, or, I mean, who knows? It's probably because I was amazing. But I'm good on them. I mean, I had a good solid path moving forward and I wasn't able to close the deal, but it is what it is. I feel good about the game I played. I feel good about the people I met. I have no hard feelings to anybody. It was a lot of fun. This last round was really hard. So I'm kind of glad that I don't have to sit and do the smaller numbers because that really takes it out of you. Yeah.
All right, Louis, made it so deep into the game, almost completely through day 4. You are a member of the jury tons to be proud of about your time out here. Love to hear from you. What's something you're maybe most proud of about yourself within this game experience?
I was really proud how I did on that immunity challenge that I almost won. Because one of the things I struggle with in these games are individual immunity challenges. So I thought I almost had that one. So I'm proud of that, but I'm just really proud that I was able to make it this far. I think as someone who played Survival Challenge and was the runner-up of that season is online, and I feel like it is a watched season that people see. So I was kind of a recognized name. So I'm glad I was kind of able to overcome any type of obstacle that happened with that. Um, but I'm proud overall. I feel like I played a good game. I could have had more fumbles than I did up until this point. I mean, aside from the first vote where we were all blindsided for the most part, I was on the right side of the numbers every time. So I feel like I had good connections, and I think people were starting to catch on to that, which I kind of was okay with. I felt very confident this game, and I was trying not to let it show that I was confident, but I wanted it to show that I came here to play and I was willing to play, and I kept my connections as widespread as I possibly could. I say good on Drew because I worked really hard reeling Drew in, and someone convinced her to flip. And good on Dylan for betraying the secret alliance. So there must be more secrets that I don't know about. So I cannot wait for the tea.
Wonderful. Yes, we do love tea here at Can You Survive? That is for sure.
Love the tea.
A couple more things before I let you go to Ponderosa. A lot of times people feel that maybe they learned something about themselves they didn't know, or kind of had an inkling about something and reconfirmed it in their time out here. Is there anything like that you'd like to share?
I wouldn't say I learned anything about myself, to be honest. I think what was kind of reassured playing this game was that I'm pretty good at these types of games. This is the worst I've ever placed in one, which making it essentially to the end of day 4 out of a 5-day game is pretty impressive, especially on a veterans tribe where we're already kind of targeted. This game is just like built into me. I feel like I have good instincts. So I'm that was reassured to me this time around.
Awesome. Well, Louis, before I let you go, you are playing for a very worthy cause. So go ahead and shout them out and let the viewers know who you're playing for.
So I am playing for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, which is an amazing organization that helps with people all across America living with HIV and AIDS, and they do a million other things with women's health, mental health. They help with emergency and disaster relief, and they're just a really great organization.
All right, Louis, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and hand you off to your handler so you can head on to Ponderosa.
Alrighty.
Congratulations on a game very well played.
Thanks everyone for watching.
All right, and next up, we're going to go ahead and bring in Molly. We will now get to hear from her. Hi, Molly. So we are still live. The viewers are eager to hear from you. So you can get comfy over here, maybe take in a little bit of sunlight because it is golden hour.
Thank God.
And you're looking fab.
Whoa, what a crazy experience. And tribal council, just in general, definitely did not expect to hit the beauty idol. I think that had a lot for my number luck, and just being on a team with all vets was definitely daunting because they know there's an immunity idol at tribal council. I thought that was like off limits for sure. So I didn't even think to look for it. I feel like we did kind of sway the votes to go LA, and I was hoping for that peaceful moment, and then that happened, and I was like, oh, dang. So it's okay. I honestly just really happy with everybody and the game that I played. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, you have tons to be proud of. Made it super deep into day 4. It's your very first game, and you made jury. Some players played many games and have never reached this point. So I'd love to know just maybe something you're most proud of about yourself during your time out here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of just being out here and doing it for this long, and especially coming in as the
No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but-
A hornet has landed on my face and I'm
Oh.
stressed. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was just happy to make the merge, and then next thing I knew, we're here at 8 people left now, so it's pretty crazy. And you know, there were definitely times in the game where I was like, oh yeah, this is for charity, this isn't just like real life. So no, it was definitely great, and met so many new people and just had a really fun time. I don't think I answered your question.
Listen, this is your time. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I think it came down to numbers, and part of Survivor is luck. I definitely loved participating in the challenges, and I kept saying in my confessionals, I just couldn't help but smiling, because you feel like you're on Survivor, like, and the thoughtfulness that goes into everything. It was just really fun. Had a great time.
I'm so glad you had a great time. I'd love to know, is there maybe something you learned about yourself out here that you didn't realize coming in to this brand new experience? Or anything you discovered about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, something I discovered about myself. I think just like overall grit, and sometimes I come off as like overly bubbly of a person, so I was kind of trying to tone that down to be in the mesh at the beginning, but I ultimately learned that being who I was more beneficial. I don't know, you watch Survivor and you see all these different players and you say, okay, this person might be a target because of their personality, but I think, you know, we all got to a point of comfortability where we were fully and completely ourselves. So you learn a lot about yourself, but a lot about others, and that connection is so important.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And speaking of others, you are playing not just for yourself, but also for a very worthy cause. So this is your chance to shout them out and let the viewers know who you're playing for.
So I'm playing for New York Girls STEAM Collaborative, which is a organization that allows girls at middle school age to have opportunity to STEM education. So as a middle school science teacher, my students, if you're watching, hi. That is really important to me, and we lose a lot of girls in the process of building STEM careers. That's really an important voice that needs to be heard. So I'm happy to be playing for them and to be out here supporting the good cause and for everyone's causes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Molly. Congratulations on a game well played. I'm going to hand you off to your handler, Barry, who will be bringing you on over to Ponderosa, as you are a jury member.
I'm excited to be jury. Yay.
All right, Molly. We will see you at the next Tribal Council. All right, everyone. And there you have it. 2 more players eliminated in a rather shocking Tribal Council situation. If you heard random drilling throughout this stream, that's because our challenge team is hard at work getting set and ready for the next challenge, which will be going live in the next 10 minutes. So we are going to have a tight turnaround time for this next one. So keep it locked here, keep those notifications on, and we will see you back so very soon.